Okay, so how to gain weight fast for skinny guys and teenagers. As you can see in the thumbnail, I wasn't very muscular to start with at all, and I'm not saying I am now, but I've made some progress. So anyway, besides myself, in this video I'll help you, if you're skinny or a teenager, how to get more muscular and just put some pounds on, you know. So anyway, besides that, let's get into the video. Okay, so first of all, you need to know, in order to gain weight, you need to eat a caloric surplus. And that's eating a certain amount of calories over your caloric maintenance. I recommend mainly you eat 500 calories over your maintenance, but it varies. Some people do like 1,000, but that's just way too aggressive. In my opinion, you gain way too much fat compared to muscle ratio. So now I'm going to tell you how to calculate your caloric maintenance. Therefore you can bump up by 500 calories, so on top of the caloric maintenance, to get your caloric surplus and to gain some muscle. But before I tell you that, these are going to be the two main factors to build muscle. And like I said, I'm going to simplify this as much as I can just to make it so simple. Number one, you need to eat a caloric surplus. If you don't eat a caloric surplus consistently, you will not build muscle. It just doesn't work like that. Excuse me. Number two is you need to be doing compound exercises and you need to be getting stronger at them. If you don't do progressive overload, which is progressing and getting stronger on exercises, you will not gain muscle as well. So caloric surplus and progressive overload, those two are the main factors. But besides that, let me not bore you too much. Let's get your caloric maintenance and let me show you how you can calculate it so you can start gaining some muscle. Okay, so step number one is to set up your macros and just make it a lot easier to eat more. But I'm going to tell you how. You're probably thinking, what's this guy saying? For example, if you didn't know what macros are, it's protein, carbs and fats. So in 1 gram of protein it's 4 calories, in the same with carbs, but in fats it's double, even more than double. In fats, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So that tells you something. If you want to gain more weight, it's a lot easier to eat fats because it's double the amount of calories as protein and carbs. Plus protein takes a lot longer to digest, it makes you feel full a lot longer. So what I'm trying to tell you here in simple terms again, fuck's sake, in simple terms again, is eat a lot of fats, but these are healthy fats. Let me give you some examples. For example, coconut oil, that's good to cook. You're literally just cooking with it. It doesn't fill you up, just more calories. Olive oil, so all the oils. Nut butters, so almond butter, peanut butter, avocados. I'm sure you can search on Google if you want more healthy fats. There aren't that many, and of course all different types of nuts like almonds, peanuts, you name it. And now my phone's going off, so don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, step number one is eat all healthy fats. Not all the healthy fats, but eating a lot more fats than carbs and protein will give you a lot more calories, and therefore you can stay in that caloric surplus, especially if you're a so-called hard gainer. But before we move on to the next tip, what I do need to clear up is, see, a lot of people say, oh yeah, I eat 5,000 6,000 calories a day and I'm still not gaining weight. In fact, you're not eating 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, I guarantee you, because you're not even tracking them. So that is why I told you to find out your caloric maintenance so you can start tracking your calories. And hang on. This doesn't need to be for 365 days a year. I recommend just doing it maybe 1 or 2 weeks, so you know how much you kind of roughly eating in your head when you eating stuff. Because a lot of people, even when they lose weight, they're like, oh, I don't eat a lot, but I'm gaining weight. Meanwhile, they don't actually know how much like calories is in 2 chicken breasts or something like that. So that's the purpose of tracking your calorie maintenance. So that was tip number one, eat a lot of fats. But what I will say as well is make sure to get 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for example, if I'm 180 pounds, I'll get 180 grams of protein minimum. That would be a good baseline because, as you know, and I'm sure you do know, you need protein to aid recovery and build some muscle. But protein is not as important as most people think, like they need all these protein shakes. Especially if you're bulking, you get more than enough nutrients. So anyway, besides that, let's move on to tip number 2. Okay, so the second tip is just to make eating a lot easier, and if this is the case for you, eating a lot, not just eating. Because I know, like I said before, hard gain is fun. It's so hard to gain weight, and this tip will really help you to get more weight. Let's start off with like this. First of all, foods. I personally recommend you eat like bars. For example, I personally buy these granola bars. They're like 200 calories and I don't know, 2 little biscuits. It takes me 2 minutes to eat. So having those kind of bars around, like the quick snacks or high calories, are always really good. And nuts, that's fats again, healthy fats. And again, drinking calories is also really good to gain more weight. Bump up the calories. For example, just put protein powder, put in a blender, put peanut butter, put milk, put, I don't know, olive oil, just peanut butter, anything just to get the calories up. Like make 1,000 calorie shakes if you don't want to eat all day. What I'm trying to say is always have food with you wherever you go. I'm not saying have food with you when you go to the toilet, but you know what I'm saying. If you go out to the city or town, just bring with you something to eat. If you don't want to buy something, I always kind of have food near, because what I think is a lot of people actually almost forget to eat, especially if they're really productive. That they're like, oh shit, I haven't eaten today. So you need to be almost consciously thinking about eating a lot. So just making your environment and always having food with you, just make it easier to eat, basically. So anyway, yeah, that's tip number 2, getting calories in a lot easier. So drinking calories and always having high calorie snacks with you, like those, in my case, the granola bars or nuts, almonds and stuff. So anyway, let's move on to tip number 3, and then we move on to tip number 4. So let's jump into them. Okay, so tip number 3 is to track your food intake. I've already covered that earlier in caloric maintenance, and the tip after that telling you, oh, this is why I told you why to track it, your calorie maintenance. But I will say is you're probably thinking, okay, how do I track it? Now I'm going to tell you. So tracking your food intake is very important. Like I said, you don't need to do it 365 days a year. 2 weeks is fine, just to get a rough estimate. But here's how you do it. You can use you can use an app called MyFitnessPal, and you can even scan the foods. It literally takes 1 second, and weighing your food doesn't take long at all. So use MyFitnessPal to see how many calories you track it for about 2 weeks, and then once you got the hang of it, roughly you can eyeball it. It'll be fine. So yeah, that's tip number 3, just quickly covering that. And then tip number 4, the last tip, I hope you're still with me here, is training tips. So what I will say is, like I did in the start of the video, you're not going to get big by just eating a lot. You'll just get fat. So we need to get training in here. For training, one of the most important things is getting stronger. Don't listen to these juice heads that are doing isolation movements and the bro split and all that kind of stuff. What I recommend is training at least, train each muscle at least twice a week. For example, I'll follow the push-pull leg split. Research has now been shown from a meta-analysis from Brad Schoenfeld that training each muscle group twice a week is the most effective compared to the bro split. So yeah, that's a really good tip right there for you, for your training. Another one, like I said, is getting stronger. This is real important. That's why I keep saying it, because it's not about getting just high amounts of volume in. Okay, volume is a big primary factor for growth, but progressive tension overload is the number 1. If you're not getting stronger, you most likely not going to get bigger unless you're taking steroids. So concentrate on getting stronger on the compound movements, the squats, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, dips, and then say for example in your workout you just did deadlifts or pull-ups, and then you can move on to the isolation stuff. So always concentrate on getting stronger. I think I've covered everything. Yeah, so finding your calorie maintenance, eating about 500 calories above that, so eating in a surplus, and if you do all of these things, I guarantee you'll get results. But if you don't start tracking your food intake and you don't know how many calories you're getting exactly, then you probably won't be getting results. And or if you just eat a lot and you don't train, you're probably going to get results in fat gain, no muscle. So yeah, I think I covered everything in this video. As always, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And one more thing before we leave. If you find that your caloric maintenance, that the number that was generated on the things I told you, if that number isn't giving you, how can I say, weight gain in say like 2, 3, 4 weeks, then maybe adjust your calories, because you have to remember this is just a rough estimate. Everybody's different. There's personal preference as well. So that's all I can say. Just adjust, get to know your body. So anyway, I think this is coming to the end of the video. It's a long video. So as always, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment section, leave me a comment down below. And as always, like, subscribe, make sure to comment. I've said that 3 times. And as always, stay positive, stay smiling. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm out.